Families of gun violence victims are now discussing how the devastating impact of shootings last long after those gunshots ring out. State Rep LaShawn Ford joined families of several gun violence victims this morning at the Thompson Center, hoping to put a face on the issue that's plaguing the city and push for peace. 9-year-old Janari Ricks was shot in the back while playing outside in the Cabrini Green neighborhood. 7-year-old Serenity Broughton was getting in the car with her parents when a gunman fired in their direction, killing her and wounding her sister. The families say their communities need resources just to be able to grieve.
What a terrible place this is. That description of that section of this city, this flagship city, this iconic city, that section of this city sounds just like a horrific place. Look at what's happening to these young children. These young people. Just think about that, man. There's no age where these people won't get shot and there'll be nobody in custody. No one in custody and a bunch of surviving family members begging for donations. No one has life insurance on these little kids. And it's about time that we start addressing that, man. How come none of these sisters got any life insurance? None of them. None of them. How does that happen? When you live in a place where, and it's like this every city, in that section where this group lives, and you can't find one mother with life insurance. And it's not like life insurance is expensive. Just think about that. You beg for $5,000 on the GoFundMe when the child dies, which inevitably a certain portion of them are going to die because the community's so unsafe, so many shooters, so many killers. But if you had life insurance, let's just say you had a $500,000 life insurance plan on your child. $12 a month. Some even lower than that. Some $199 a month. You can get a $100,000 life insurance plan. Instead, they'd rather beg for $5,000 on GoFundMe when the child dies. There's no growth. There's no, what's the word? There's no assessing what's going on and adjusting and like, okay, this happens here a lot. The kids aren't safe because the men and the teen boys are shooting recklessly everywhere. So I'm going to get life insurance on my kid. And then you go to these places and none of them have life insurance. Explain that to me, chat. I just want somebody to explain how none of them have life insurance on any of their kids.
Families of gun violence victims are now discussing how the devastating impact of shootings last long after those gunshots ring out. State Rep LaShawn Ford joined families of several gun violence victims this morning at the Thompson Center, hoping to put a face on the issue that's plaguing the city and push for peace. 9-year-old Janari Ricks was shot in the back while playing outside in the Cabrini Green neighborhood. 7-year-old Serenity Broughton was getting in the car with her parents when a gunman fired in their direction, killing her and wounding her sister. The families say their communities need resources just to be able to grieve.
I have not been able to properly grieve my son because every single day I have to get up and go to work for him. It's unnatural. It's not normal for parents to bury their children.
It's going on a year in April, and it's still hard every day. And we, as a community, don't have the resources that we can even go to even start the grieving process.
Heart breaks for them. Ford wants mental health support and financial resources for gun violence victims. Chicago police are sending more patrols to Little Village after gang conflict in the neighborhood killed 8-year-old Melissa Ortega. A memorial for Ortega is growing near 26th and Pulaski. That's where she was walking to a bank with her mom on Saturday afternoon when she was caught in the crossfire and killed. Police believe a 26-year-old man who was also hit was the intended target.
A Bartram High School student was shot and killed today right near his school. The young man, just 17 years old. Action News reporter George Solis, live for...
Now, this is a Philadelphia public school, so I don't even really need to go to this Great Schools app. But I'll do it just for you guys. Okay, John Bartram, 2401 South 67th Street, Philadelphia. Grades 9 through 12, 532 students. Test scores 1 out of 10, which is below average. Student progress 2 out of 10, which is below average. College readiness 1 out of 10. And equity 1 out of 10. They graduate 57% of their kids, which is well below the state average of 86. Kids do abysmally on the SAT and the ACT. Less than 1% of the kids take AP courses, which is in math and science, which is far below the state average of 5% and 6% at other schools. And then when it comes to other AP courses and other courses, other subjects, 4% of the students take AP courses, which is far below the state average of 13. Test scores are far below the state average. The state average is 68%. These kids score 3% when it comes to algebra. For English, the state average is 76%. These kids score 13. The state average in biology is 65%. These kids score 2%. 100% of the students are considered low income. The demographics, 88% Sun teens, 4% Umbritos, 4% Crouching Tigers, and 1% gliders. That glider that goes to that school, man, God, that handful of gliders at that school, boy, whew, rough, Jack.
A Bartram High School student was shot and killed today right near his school. The young man, just 17 years old. Action News reporter George Solis, live for us tonight at police headquarters with the latest on this investigation into this teen who was killed today. George.
Sorry, late this evening, family members stopped by the scene. None of them wanted to talk on camera. You can see they were visibly upset. Investigators are hopeful security cameras outside of the school will help them track down a killer. Tonight, members of one Southwest Philadelphia community are in mourning.
That's terrible. It's just terrible. You know, it's got to be some accountability.
Many at a loss for words over the fatal shooting of a Bartram High School senior who was gunned down earlier this afternoon. Police identified the victim as 17-year-old Christopher Braxton.
He left around dismissal time, and shortly thereafter, not far from the school, is where he was shot in the chest. Now, right now, we don't have a motive.
The team...
Okay, so I talked about this with you guys a week ago or so. I think it was about a week ago. I said, school shootings in and around the school, directly after school, on the school campus, as the kids are immediately leaving the school, are a Sun community thing. It happens all the time. All the time. To the point where the media has to stop covering school shootings because if you keep covering it, it draws attention to this, and they don't want to draw attention to this because they don't want to show you that some are killing, the kids are being killed at least every other day. There's a kid being killed at school, near the school, leaving the school, coming to the school. It happens almost every day. In the school. Soon, they're not going to be able to cover anything, the mainstream media, because every little thing they want to attack. First it was Crouching Tiger hate. Stop Crouching Tiger hate. Then it was like, oh God, look who's doing it. Look who's doing all of it. Then it was mass shootings. It was like, oh my God, look who's doing all of it. Then it was school shootings. Oh my God, look who's doing all of it. Like, they keep jumping and jumping and trying to, because crime sells. If it bleeds, it leads. But not when you have to focus on the people who are doing it are a protected class, a group of people who are being coddled and pandered to by the entire country.
He left around dismissal time, and shortly thereafter, not far from the school, is where he was shot in the chest. Now, right now, we don't have a motive.
The team was rushed to Penn Presbyterian, where he died. Police said a number of witnesses were also taken to homicide for questioning. School District of Philadelphia officials said they were made aware of the shooting and subsequent death. One official told Action News the school was placed on lockdown while investigators searched for a shooter.
Then you heard all the cops coming to find out that a 17-year-old little baby died again. Another little baby in Philly died.
This woman, who goes by T, said she heard the shooting as she swept in front of her home.
Can't even go to school and return home to your family. Sad. God, pray for Philadelphia. We're not even in the city of brotherly love no more. That hurt.
Tonight, investigators hopeful that cameras in the neighborhood and outside the school help find a gunman, leaving the neighborhood still on edge.
Yes, it's dangerous. You know, I'm scared to come home from work at night. You know, I got to look both ways around. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Something has to be done.
And if this grown man is that scared, imagine how the kids are. Even though they'll act tough, they'll stick their chest out and they'll, act wild and do reckless things to try to, disguise the fact that inside, those kids are terrified living in this jungle.
Yes, it's dangerous. You know, I'm scared to come home from work at night. You know, I got to look both ways around. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Something has to be done.
At this hour, there's still no word on a suspect. School District of Philadelphia officials said grief counselors will be made available at the school. District officials also calling for thoughts and prayers tonight. Outside Philadelphia Police Headquarters tonight, George Solis for Action News at 10 on PHL 17. Shari.
Okay, George, thank you.
School senior is dead after he was shot near a Southwest Philly high school. The gunshots just minutes after school let out today. Jenny, what are you learning about the victim tonight?
Good evening, Jason. Well, tonight we did see the victim's family show up to the site where he was killed. They were searching for answers, just like investigators. Minutes after dismissal, a 17-year-old Bartram High School senior shot and killed just feet from school grounds with classmates nearby. Bartram High immediately went into lockdown.
It's just another sad story in the neighborhood.
This woman who goes,
Miss T, she reminded me of that character from Miss Jenkins. That character from Living Color. You ain't heard it from me. Mm-hmm. Y'all remember that lady? She'd be like, oh, hey. She'd be sitting in the window. Oh, hey, Miss Jenkins. How you doing? Glad to see you. Looking good. Looking good and terrible. And then she go on and just be dissing the person. That was the funniest. That was one of the funniest skits ever in the living color history. This lady reminded me of that lady so much, man.
It's just another sad story in the neighborhood.
This woman, who goes by Miss T, lives around the corner from the shooting. She says she heard the shots fired. What went through your mind when you heard?
Get down on the floor and try to save my own life. That's all you can do, right?
Along 66th Street, Philadelphia police detectives spent hours collecting evidence, including surveillance video from the scene. Sources say that when this teen walked out of school, he encountered at least one shooter who fired 2 rounds, hitting the victim once in the chest. Police tell us the boy lived just a few blocks from where he was killed.
I had to come home from work at night. You know, I got to look both ways around.
Ray Howard says he was at work when the shooting happened. He lives just steps from the scene. He and his neighbors say they're sick over the gun violence citywide.
That's terrible. It's just terrible. You know, it's got to be some accountability. You know, police, you know, their hands are tied because it's all around the city. You know, I don't know.
Just pray for Philly. That's all we can do, pray.
Homicide detectives are working this case. They say at this point they do not have a motive or a description of the shooter. Anyone with information should call the Philadelphia Police Department. Back to you.
Jenny Joyce, live at police headquarters. Thank you, Jenny.